Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys and gals a little bit about really the whole absurdity of this entire carnivore movement that's out there. This is the most extreme, ridiculous, and most rapid growing nutrition cult I've ever seen in my life. And the ironic part is like tons of them say, no, people have been doing this for decades. You'll get some who claim they've been doing it for 30 years. And it's like, guys, this concept's less than 10 years old. Like, we already know which influencers and doctors and stuff started the entire idea and it evolved from. I promise you, you haven't been doing it for 30 years. Nobody believes you. So again, it's guys like Sean Baker completely started this entire thing. And the whole concept of it is ludicrous. They should just call it fear of vegetables, right? Because it's not carnivore. In other words, their diets look nothing like a carnivore diet. And people need to understand you can't survive on a carnivore diet. You're not an obligate carnivore. Keeping in mind, I am saying this as someone who is one, extremely pro-dairy, extremely pro-animal protein. So just an FYI, before, when you make these videos, people jump up and call you a vegan. I'm like, I eat 300 grams of animal protein a day. I'm clearly not a very good vegan. I think vegans are the only people as crazy or close to as crazy as the carnivores, although they're probably a step down. So that being said, the idea is ludicrous. But you know, when you look at it, it's like, one, why they're calling it carnivore, I don't know. Like true carnivore animals produce their own ascorbic acid, vitamin C. Humans are not capable of doing this, therefore you're not even biologically close to being a carnivore. Just stop, okay? Number two, they all eat tons of refined foods. It's not like they're standing around eating meat. Okay. Also, by the way, true carnivores eat plants in the wild. So being afraid of vegetables, again, doesn't even match the carnivore concept. So again, just pointing out that this is not a carnivore diet. And they're like, well, we just mean animal products, including highly refined animal products, because they eat tons of highly refined stuff. And they eat the stuff that's actually been shown to be the worst in studies. Okay, that's what's interesting. It's like, number one, lions don't have the ability to cure bacon. Just an FYI. Number two, lions don't milk animals and then churn the butter and separate the cream. Like, lions and bears don't have the ability to do this. This has never been a carnivore thing. In fact, dairy usually requires agriculture. You have to have actual pastures and grazing to raise the dairy animals, and then you milk them, and so on and so forth. Just an FYI, these people seem to have lost sight of some of this, but that's okay. That's actually agricultural, right? Dairy is agricultural. And I'm very pro-dairy, by the way, just an FYI. I think dairy is amazing, absolutely amazing. You know, in the right forms, until you start refining certain ways into butter and stuff. You know, but here's the thing, these people, they ignore research, and then they really feel like what they're doing is evidence-based, and it's like, okay, so realistically, when you look at a lot of the foods they choose to throw in that are animal foods, they literally pick the stuff. So it's almost like an anti-science approach, right? It's an anti-science approach. They literally pick the foods that have been shown to be the absolute worst for your health out of the animal foods, right? And they obsess over them. It's really interesting. What do I mean? Butter and refined red meats. Like, this is the stuff that the research generally agrees is horrific for you. Notice these are both refined foods. Again, bacon, processed meat, things like that, they're refined. They're refined. The research shows they're carcinogenic, right? They cause colon cancer. They cause all sorts of cancers of the GI tract. They're terrible for you. And again, it's not because they're meat, it's because they're a highly processed food with all these preservatives in them, like bacon, sausage, all this stuff. Yet you see these same people promoting this. They're like, oh, because it's a high-fat animal product. You know, again, high-fat animals don't really exist in the wild. It's not really a thing for carnivores outside of the Arctic. The same thing, the butter. You look at all the studies on butter. Milk is actually perfectly fine. I'm very pro-milk. And a lot of people aren't aware of that. Most studies show that milk, like whole milk, doesn't usually negatively affect your lipid profile, even if you drink large amounts. It's really not a problem. It's not a problem. Butter does. And when it's been compared study for study, side by side, butter, when the same amount of fat calories from butter is compared to whole milk, the difference in the blood work in the test subjects is massive. Much higher inflammatory markers, much higher LDL, much higher risk of atherosclerosis. So it's not because it's dairy, it's because it's this refined product. And people say, it's not refined, it's just churned. That is a refinement. You are creating something that doesn't exist in nature. There's nothing to do with milk. Even skimming the cream off, you lose all the benefits of milk. Milk is a superfood, right? Milk is a superfood. Superfood. Due to all the protein, magnesium, calcium, B12, amazing, absolutely amazing food for muscle growth, body composition, hydration. All of that's being removed. As soon as you skim the cream off, you're leaving all that stuff behind. So then they take the cream and they emulsify it. They churn it and it changes the molecular structure. Doesn't matter that it's an older form of technology, it's still an extreme process that molecularly changes the butter after you've taken all the good stuff out. So when you look at the data, it's horrific. And then people say, well, it's got all these vitamins and minerals. No, it doesn't. It's got vitamin A. There's not enough. If the only source you had of all these things these carnivores claim is in butter, vitamin E, vitamin D, vitamin K. If butter was the only source you had of it in your diet, you would quickly develop a dietary deficiency. 2,000, 3,000 calories of butter a day isn't enough to supply them, but it'll probably give you diarrhea. Okay, this is insane. Like this whole diet is a crazy, insane cult built upon half of it promoting junk food. And then on top of it, they're anti-vegetable. They hate vegetables. The data we have on fiber, the data we have on vegetables is phenomenal in terms of the health benefits, lowering cancer risk, lowering cardiovascular disease. In fact, I would go so far as to say this is why some people who still do serious keto diets full of tons of meat still have good calcium scores. They still have good health markers. Do you know why? Because of the antioxidants and other stuff and all the vegetables they eat with it is cardioprotective. It's cardioprotective against sometimes the extra LDL they're getting from the stearic acid and stuff in the red meat. It's cardioprotective. That's why a lot of people who do those diets are still perfectly healthy with really good blood work. They're eating all those vegetables to go with it. So, I mean, and if you're doing steak, eggs, and tons of vegetables, avocados, broccoli, you'll probably be okay. In fact, that's way better than any sort of standard American or Western diet by a pretty large margin, right? I think that's perfectly healthy. But when you pull all the vegetables out and you start replacing it with butter or bacon, it is a death sentence. You're losing all the cardioprotective benefits, all these other health benefits, all this amazing stuff for your gut flora, and you're replacing it with refined garbage that in study after study cause heart disease, cancer, diabetes, all these other things. They are linked to it repeatedly. So it is a diet for insane people. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.